Everyone is against Kelly Leach, the Conservative MP who is running for the party's leadership and had the audacity to ask a pretty bland poll question of supporters whether they thought new immigrants to Canada should be screened for anti-Canadian values. As in, don't let people who hate Canada move to Canada. I mean, how is it even possible to disagree with that? No, I don't want to keep out anti-Canadian people. How could anyone who has a door on their house with a lock on it not accept the concept that a door sometimes ought to be closed and sometimes ought to be locked if the person on the other side of the door hates you or even wants to hurt you? Only a liberal could take the other side of that argument so blindly as to welcome people who hate them. I can only guess what their personal relationships would be like. But the media party was pretty unanimous on this point. Not only was Kelly Leach wrong to even ask the question or even talk about it, but she wasn't just wrong, she was evil. She was racist, in fact. Here's some super smart people saying that. You know they're smart because they're on TV.
There is something called a thought police, which is essentially what Kelly Leach is trying to propose. She is playing a certain kind of politics that we tend to refer to as dog whistle, but after the barbaric cultural practices tip line, it's not really a dog whistle anymore, it's just a foghorn.
So apart from the stupidity of the politics of it, somebody doesn't even know the law.
I think she would be far better use as a pediatric surgeon where she's badly needed than as a conservative leader.
This is the typical Trumpian sentiment.
But it wasn't just the liberal media elite, it was fellow conservatives like Michael Chong, who accused Kelly Leach of racism, and Ronna Ambrose, the interim conservative leader, who put her thumb on the scales of the party leadership race in which she herself is meant to be neutral. But as they say, everyone's against her except the people. The Globe and Mail denounced Kelly Leach, but their own poll showed Canadians loved her idea and agree with her from a mere 69% in Quebec to more than 80% in the West. Is there any other issue upon which Canadians would be so united? Do you like maple syrup? Wouldn't even get such high agreement. The Toronto Star was apoplectic too, but not their own readers. Here is their poll, which at least they had the honesty to put on their front page, showing that strong percentage of Canadians from every single political stripe, Conservative, Liberals, NDP, support screening for Canadian values. There's nothing racist about it. Race has nothing to do with values. Values are ideas, beliefs. It's got nothing to do with skin color. In fact, I put it to you that someone who chose to come to Canada on purpose, chose to leave another country, has probably thought about Canadian values very carefully. And it was probably a factor in choosing where they chose to go. If you're wondering what Canadian values are, it's liberal, democratic, Western values. Used to be called Christian values or Judeo-Christian values, if you like. I mean, they're enshrined in our laws. No polygamy, no honor killings, equality of men and women, freedom of religion, separation of mosque and state. I mean, read our Constitution, read our Charter of Rights. But of course, it's much more than that. It's our customs and our history too. Liberals are suddenly pretending they don't believe in that stuff, which is bizarre. I mean, what's the purpose of the entire CBC then, if there are no Canadian values that are any different from American values? And if we're different enough from Americans to have our own media and culture and laws, surely we're even more different from Sharia cultures in places like Syria, one of the most bigoted, retrograde places in the world. I mean, even the people from Syria believe that about Syria. That's why they're leaving. So this is all so obvious it shouldn't even have to be said, but the elites don't agree. I doubt a single one of the elites lives within a mile of a Syrian migrant Trudeau has brought over. The elites send their own kids to private schools. They have high-tech alarms on their houses and private security. They vacation far away. The elites don't live in places that pay the price when you bring in tens of thousands of unvetted migrants. If unvetted Syrian migrant teenage men were put in elite schools like the Upper Canada College in Toronto and the elite equivalents in Ottawa and Montreal with the children of the elites, including Trudeau's own kids, if hundreds of Syrian families were housed in Rosedale in Toronto and Westmount in Montreal and Rockcliffe in Ottawa and West Vancouver, instead of being warehoused in cheap hotels by the airport where blue-collar people live, yeah, I don't think the elites would be so blasé about importing people who bring with them Sharia values. So what can we do? Well, we can tell the elites in the media, in politics, even in the Conservative Party itself, that standing up for Canadian values and keeping out people who hate us has nothing to do with racism. It has everything to do with Canada being Canadian and having a bit of self-respect. And it's better for immigrants, too. If you love Canada, you're probably going to be more successful here than if you hate us and who we are. So we're launching a petition. To say the obvious, I know, but I think it needs to be said that our values matter. So please click here or go to OurValues.ca and tell our political elites in all parties and in the media party that we demand immigrants be screened to ensure they share our values. I think the only people who should not sign this are people who don't have any doors on their houses. Visit OurValues.ca. Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.